Mar here for B-Sides at Austin City Limits 2022 with one of the amazing performers, Taipei Houston.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Miles and Lane, how are you?
Yeah, how's it going?
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate the time. Welcome to Austin.
Absolutely.
We're
Stoked to be here.
We were chatting off camera. This is your first time or second time, I guess, in Austin.
I mean, in ways, it's kind of a first time because like South by is such a different, you know what I mean? It's almost like its own kind of thing going on. So we have kind of gotten to check out the city a little bit more. It's been really cool.
Yeah. So how was it last night? What kind of shenanigans and trouble did you get into?
Last night, not too much. I mean,
Yeah.
we got in the day before. I guess we mainly took a day off. Honestly,
Yeah,
just chilled
we
out.
sometimes try and be good about
We're our
around the
best
shows.
behavior
Yeah,
the
you
day
know what I
before
mean?
the show.
We are. It's
Especially the
salad
earlier
water.
shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're saying this all on camera, and then once we're done, you're
Yes.
going to be all like, by the
I
way,
have-
you got to check out
I
this
have-
one bar.
I have a whole bottle of vodka right behind me.
Share, gentlemen, share.
Oh man.
But I assume that you got a good impression of Austin. Then.
Yeah, no, Austin is super cool. I mean, just getting to check it out. Like, we were kind of just walking around mainly, and just checking stuff out along the river, checking out the bridges and everything. It's super, super beautiful.
Did you see
Beautiful.
the bats
Yeah.
come out at night?
I haven't seen them yet, but I've heard that they're really cool. So
Yeah.
that's something. We're staying here because we're playing the second weekend of ACL too, and so we're staying here. So that may be on the bat tour, maybe on the to-do list.
Literally at dusk, the bats that hibernate, sleep throughout the day under the bridge, start to wake up and flutter away.
Yeah.
Wow.
And look for the mice and rabbits and chickens or whatever they're trying to eat.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Take a bird or a scooter around and just really take in the city.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
In a way, it's kind of similar to San Francisco, a small pocket of San
Definitely.
Francisco,
Yeah.
where you're indigenous from. And
Yeah.
I know you guys are all over the place.
Yeah, no, 100%. But San Francisco is definitely like
Hometown for sure.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
where we're based.
Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah.
And it's so awesome that you guys have taken a lot of those ethos into what you guys create in music.
Yeah.
And that you went back to the Bay to form this band.
Yeah.
And in your childhood home, from what I understand.
Really holds a special place in our heart, San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's like I always find it very easy to be creative there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get spiritual. Not to sound cheesy. I don't know.
Can you zero in on that? Because I try to explain to people the rich history of the Bay Area music scene, especially San Francisco from the 60s and 70s, and obviously the punk scene and Metallica and so forth. But there's such a wide range of genres.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just like, it's definitely like a bit of a melting pot and stuff like that. And it's a very like easy place to get exposed to a lot of great music, especially early on, which is really cool. And then, I mean, even beyond that, like we just talk about a lot, like physically, San Francisco itself is super great for being creative in because it's very kind of like tranquil and nice and calm, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, just being around the Bay and like being that much on the water, but you're still in like a main city kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of rare. And so like we love going to San Francisco, especially to be creative.
When you say
sure.
San Francisco, is it actually San Francisco proper? And what neighborhood? What district?
Yeah, like kind of in and around the marina. Yeah, like so pretty like around the water, you know. So yeah, we like it a lot.
I got to do a lot of irresponsible things in high school in the Mission and stuff like that.
Definitely.
I mean, I think that there's like there's an amazing, like you said, there's a history that's so in many ways all over the place. There's so many different scenes that have been in and around the Bay in general, like over so much time, and so it was very cool growing up as a musician there to like go all over and you'd be like in Berkeley and you're like, oh, there's like this whole thing that happened here, and then like you go to Haight-Ashbury and you're like, oh my God, the Grateful Dead here, and then you're like somewhere else and there's like a whole punk thing going on. It's
As you were
really
exploring
cool.
music, especially as teenagers, did you get into the hip hop scene? Did you go to Gilman? I can imagine, like we just said, there's so many genres. Did you pop around?
For me, I was definitely I did a bit, but I was more of a 60s nerd and kind of like hung out like near Golden Gate Park and then like by Haight-Ashbury and stuff, and was like had like Grateful Dead patches on my jean jackets and stuff like that. Yeah, that was more my thing, but I mean, there's an amazing history for sure.
No, and I mean, obviously, like that scene there that you're talking about has been so huge and impactful for people, and stayed so specific too. So like, it's obviously you're cognizant of it because it's like so great as well. Yeah.
Who was your first show individually and collectively?
I want to say, actually, I'm gonna keeping it San Francisco local. Green Day at the Greek in Berkeley, I want to say, which was crazy seeing them there on their home territory, and obviously like grew up listening to like Green Day and all that stuff, and so seeing them there, and I think that was kind of one of my first shows, and one of my first shows like really going in the crowd on my own and stuff like that, and so that was definitely very formative for me.
I think I went to one of the really early Outside Lands that Muse played and a few other people. That was pretty early for me.
What about an individual show? I'm curious about going to the Great American and seeing some random...
I saw Deaf Heaven at Bottom of the Hill in like 2012, 2011.
Wow.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially as musicians, I ask because as musicians, you soak that in.
Yeah.
And as young people.
Totally.
And
totally.
it really sets the bar and gives you that exposure to what you want to make as a musician yourself.
Totally.
100%.
There was a lot of nondescript punk bands I used to see at Slim's. Like, it was more like group shows where I can't even remember, but I'd like go and just mosh there when I was like 11.
Yeah.
That was like pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love stuff like that.
Were there any discoveries that you're like, holy cow, I can't believe how they're big now?
It's definitely like
The Sword.
I saw the Sword.
They're more
of a
metal
metal band, but I saw the Sword there really early on, and that was cool. It was more like just a formative time for me, being like, wow, I really love going to shows, and this is such an insane community of people to be in. Grateful for that part of it. You know what I mean?
And now, as musicians and performers yourselves, how did that influence and shape what you do today?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think for us, like, having that passion and, like, specifically, like I was kind of saying, like, San Francisco is such a great place to get exposed to a lot of it early, and just, like, early on for us, like, seeing people who were really passionate about what they were doing and kind of, like, getting that exposure and having it be, like I'm saying, a main city where all kinds of acts come through and there's all kinds of stuff in and around there that, like, it just is really inspiring. And then on top of that, also, like, having a great community of people our age who are getting into music and, like, going to shows and playing shows and doing stuff like that was, like, definitely really impactful at a young age, for sure.
Yeah.
It's full circle for me to get, like, we just played a bunch of shows with the Melvins opening for them, and we got to play Great American, and that's like a dream come true for me because
cool.
I grew up at all those venues, so getting to do that is, like, we played the Chapel last December, and that's like such a treat for me, more so than a lot of other shows, because it's just like places that I hold very near and dear. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
Those are
that.
awesome places to see shows too. I've
Totally.
seen so many bands play exactly those venues,
Totally.
big and small, and
Yeah.
it's just awesome because the crowd is into it. They're passionate about that artist.
Yeah.
I feel that's what's going on with you guys as well. You guys have definitely made a name, for yourselves growing here, coming out of the pandemic. It's exciting.
Super exciting.
People want
Thank
to
you.
rock.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, how do you feel? Where you have this community of people relating to your music after a period of time when we were all basically holed up in our houses.
Yeah, no, I mean, for us, that's like the coolest and most humbling thing to have happen. And actually, like, literally just here at ACL, we were just got off the Honda stage, and like one of the coolest thing, one of that I've heard is sort of like somebody came over and was like, oh man, like nobody's doing crazy music like this right now, and like there's no people at the, and like that there's somebody right now where you guys are doing that. Like, it was super great for me, and like for me to hear that from them is super, super humbling, you know what I mean? And just like that means a lot to us, because that's kind of like what we are trying to set out to do, you know what I mean?
I agree, absolutely.
And this was music that you've been making the whole time prior to the pandemic even?
No, I mean, the whole thing kind of came about during the pandemic, actually, because we were both like, we played together a bit, but we were sort of like just kind of messing around, doing like playing a lot of different stuff. We played a lot of jazz, a lot of funk stuff, and then kind of in the pandemic was sort of when it like actually kind of started coming together for us, which is pretty cool. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and The Middle is such a great song.
Oh, thank you.
It's such a representation and a taste of what people can expect from you guys. And you have this album, from what I understand. That's,
we have a
full
9-song project. It's called Once Bit Never Bored, and it's dropping November 4th. And we're super stoked. 9 songs, like a full release. We're super excited.
One thing that I think that on the surface people may see as a challenge is obviously the shadow of being the sons of a famous father. What are the challenges, if any?
I
think for us, it's talking about the challenge, like, it's not even really mainly that for us. I think the thing that, like, we think about is that, like, growing up, we got to, kind of like we were talking about in San Francisco, like, we just got to be around a lot of people who were, like, interested in music and doing music professionally and passionately, and, like, seeing people doing that at different levels and stuff like that. And I think for us, just as being, like, young and around that was definitely really inspiring. And so I think that's something we've always, like, thought about or something. Just like as always, like people working on their craft always. You know what I mean? Just always trying to be thinking about what you can be doing better for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I fully support you guys.
Thank you.
The music is fantastic. I always, regardless of the relationship, and you hear about all the different relationship issues with nepotism and all those things, you guys are doing it all on your own.
Thank you.
And
our
I
best.
appreciate that. You're doing the small venues, Brick and Mortar, Great American, the Ritz in San Jose. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're super excited about the Brick and Mortar show.
Ritz
that's
was a
coming
fun
up.
one in San Jose, by the way. That was great.
Anything memorable about that?
It's just rowdy and cool and feels grassroots and just organic and like really cool.
Yeah,
So,
and I
love
think
playing
that's
those shows.
so befitting of your music, and I
Yeah.
can totally see it grow into an insane level too. Like I can totally see the Fox Theater just going off with two
Oh,
mosh
man,
I
pits.
hope
that'd be,
so.
yeah. No, that's
Great.
definitely we're super stoked because like you were saying, we're going to Brick and Mortar November 2nd. Yeah, for the debut show in San Francisco, which we're super excited about. So that'll be really fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. Appreciate the time. Great to meet you.
Yeah, great to get
Thank
to meet
you.
you.
Great
Thank
to
you for
meet you
talking.
too.
Appreciate it. It is
Thank
Taipei Houston at Austin City Limits with B-Sides.